Sorry, Andrea, I'm probably going to mispronounce your name. Andrea Prenghyová from DOK.Incubator. We have Richard Bradley from Documentary Campus and Hugh Purcell from ESoDoc. So I think the first thing I'm going to ask you is maybe to briefly introduce your organization, basically who, when, why, how, and also if you have any upcoming deadlines, it would be good to know them just now. So Andrea, if you want to start.
Hello. I'm from a very small training program called DOK.Incubator. I'm a filmmaker myself. And something like 15 years ago, I was quite angry filmmaker, and thanks to EDN, we started a lot of supporting activities in Eastern Europe. And I started also, one of the things which we started is to select films and recommend the films. And I have been seeing a lot of films a year. And I have a friend called Klaas Danielsen, and he's a director of the DOK Leipzig, and I think you will listen more about DOK Leipzig. And he has been watching over 600 films every year. And we have been discussing together, and we agreed that both together, when we are watching films and selecting them, for example, for competitions, we get something like 3-4, which we are sure, and then we need another 12, and we have something like 40, and any out of 40 films could be there and couldn't be there because it has a potential, but the potential was not fulfilled. Something is missing. You know, maybe if they would stay a little bit longer in editing room, maybe if they would be more shooting, and maybe if there would be one more character. So we have been discussing one day about this, why there is only so few outstanding films, but so many films which are good, but not completely, they didn't use material on the maximum. And we came out with the idea to make a workshop which is called DOK.Incubator, and which would focus on the late stage of production. We think there is a lot of workshops and support once you are starting with your projects and development, but nobody really helps filmmaker during making the film. You get some support before through pitching and developing, and after with distribution. And we founded something which is called the DOK.Incubator workshop. And because we were already that time, something like 10, 12 years, we had experience, and we said this will be a little bit different. Because we don't want anything theoretical. It will be very practical. People will be in editing room and working. So when you come to our workshop, you will not learn anything about marketing. You will do your marketing, and through doing marketing of your film, you will learn how to do it. So only practice. Then we said that we want to involve whole teams, because our experience was that many times producers, they were on the very good workshop, and then they came home and they had to confirm the whole team to work different way. And a lot of things has been lost in translation and has been a pity, and I think it's very difficult. Producers, they train themselves so much, but the editors, they don't, and the directors very rarely. So it's very difficult to come with another kind of approach towards the film. So we say we take only the films with all three members of the team, with director, producer, and editor. And then we wanted to do something which is very individual, because any film has different kind of needs, and they need different kind of tutors, they need to discuss different kind of topic. And we created this workshop which is called DOK.Incubator, which has 3 sessions, and which follows people something like 6 months before they end the film. So they are entering our workshop with a rough cut, then they try to make a fine cut, and then we also are helping them with the release and with the good strategy. As I said, we only take the projects which have a whole team. It's a basic condition. Every year people ask us, couldn't only the director with editor attend or something else? We reject very good projects when we cannot get the whole team. We think it's principle. And we work mainly on editing, but not only on that. A lot of producers, they come to us and because they want to improve content. But this is not what we do. We try to change the approach towards the film and the way people see the films. A lot of people think, and this is, I think, result of our film schools, that you edit a great cut and then your film will travel and you will a lot of awards. This is not how it is nowadays. We see more and more that if you don't have connected to the film the good strategy of communication and marketing and distribution, you cannot do anything. And for us, and this is also what you will learn when you go through our workshop, all these three things are connected. It means if you decide to change anything in the content, you need to change also the target group, distribution, and how you communicate the film. If you want to change anything in the marketing or distribution, you have to go back in the content. So all these three things are very much connected. And at our workshop, you will be for 6 months working on that. And I would say most of people comes to us because of editing. We have great editing tutors. And each of the projects gets individual mentors for editing, but also for producing and also for marketing and distribution. You will get your personal mentor, and you will be working not only during the workshop, but most of the work you will be doing in between the workshop. Because at the 5 days, you cannot edit the whole film. You will do it in between. And so you will get these personal tutors. And what is important with our workshop is that we are very intense. If you come to us, you have really booked a lot of time. I would say on the amount of work, we are one of the most difficult workshops, but also what we do is that we are bringing success to people. We have, I would say that we have every year something like 8 films, and for last 2 years, all 8 films started at the big festivals. During last 4 films, we have 3-time film at Sundance. One of them has won. The UK film last year, Chuck Norris versus Communismus. It's a project which went through DOK.Incubator. And we cooperate a lot with ITFA, with DOK Leipzig as well, with all the big festivals, and festival selectors are coming to our workshop, pick up the things. So on one side, it's really tough, but on the second side, a lot of producers, they get a success. We take various kind of films. We have big productions for several thousand of euros, and we have no money films for 40,000 euros or even less, where people have really no money. We have quite a big scholarship policy. Last year has got half of our projects some kind of scholarship, and we also, what we do is that we cooperate a lot with post-production agencies, and we give post-production awards. So you can get your DCP for free, your sound mixture or color grading or transformation to some VOD distribution platform for free. So this is also what we do. What did I mention? Maybe I forgot something. So nowadays we get something about 90 rough cuts every year. We pick up only 8 because our motto is quality, not the quantity. So we prefer to take only 8 projects, but really give them very individual and super service. It means that at our workshop, we always have more tutors than projects. And also we are working with the whole team. So if you come to 1 or 2nd or 3rd workshop, you spend most of the time in the editing room. But outside from the editing room, we are taking sometimes producers, and we discuss something, sometimes also directors, and sometimes we take out the whole team. What is also important is that we think that the whole team, it's not only a question of producer, how the film will be distributed, but also director and editor. They should nowadays start a little bit understand each other's jobs and what people do, because as I said, the things are connected, and if you change something in marketing, it must go also to distribution and also back to the content. We are now over the deadline. We had a deadline last month, and we already selected 8 really nice projects, which we will be working 8 months, 6 months now. And we have picked up also one UK project, is called Kisilu, and I hope this will be the film which you will be listen about in the next year. And if you will be thinking to apply to our workshop, our deadline is in February every year. And what is very important is to match the timing of your film. We mostly work with the films which aims to start to big autumn festivals, like DOK Leipzig, like ITFA, Berlinale, Sundance. So it's important to have something like rough cut in May, almost fine cut in July, and be very close to picture lock in September. So this is very important if you want to approach us. So, I don't know.
So that was for post-production. Now we're going to go back a little bit and maybe focus more on early stages of development and production. Hugh, if you'd like to say something.
Okay, well, the very short answer is read our literature, because there are pamphlets and brochures outside. The slightly less short answer is, when I began ESoDoc in 2004, I wanted to encourage documentary makers to go in the areas of human rights and environmental protection and make the world a bit of a better place. Specifically, we looked at the interface between creative documentary makers and NGOs, filmmakers. And we were also very early on the scene with cross-media projects. And that is more or less as it is today. So two of the very successful projects, there was one on drones by a Norwegian filmmaker, and there was one called Queen of Silence, a remarkable film about a deaf and dumb Roma girl who would act out in a sort of song and dance act her plight of being a Roma and unwanted in a community in Poland. Okay, so we have 3 sessions a year over the summer months. We open your eyes to what is going on in this area. One of our favorite speakers, for example, comes from Purcell. You've heard of Purcell? This is an Israeli organization which gives cameras to Palestinians on the West Bank to shoot all sorts of atrocities committed by Israeli settlers. This participatory video, use the old-fashioned word, and these it's rather like 5 broken cameras. These films, they are shown on Israeli television often, I have to say. If not, they're put on the net. So, I mean, he's just one of the speakers. So we teach craft skills. You can't teach camera work and you can't teach editing in a short time, but we go in hard on things like making a trailer with one of the best trailer makers around, Fernanda Rossi. We go in quite hard on single camera operating, often in a hostile environment. How to, because most of our filmmakers shoot and edit themselves, and how to conduct yourself in Africa when there's no generator, and it's all quite difficult. You get sand in the lens and whatever, so we run a course on that. And then you bring your project with you, and you picture that in our last session. I was head of studies at ESoDoc until last year, and I've been succeeded by Sabine Bubeck-Patz. And this is tremendously good news for anybody who comes to ESoDoc, because she is the commissioning editor, I think, of theme evenings in Arte. Without Arte, I don't think documentaries in Europe would exist, not nearly so successfully. And I heard tell, though I haven't checked it out with her, that she was an executive producer of 3 of the documentaries shortlisted for Oscars this year, which is not bad. And she is tremendously helpful, and by now knows everybody and has a tremendous network. And it's surprising the number of ESoDoc programs, films, that get a screening on Arte, which is due, no doubt, to Sabine. So the 2016, we're now full up. We have about 150 applicants. You have to do a little presentation now, a 90-second presentation about why you want to go on, not in person, but on film, and you send it in. And we, as I say, we have 3 single weeks in different European countries, heavily subsidized, but nevertheless the cost is about 1,200 to 1,500 euros, though there are scholarships. Why is it worth doing? It's tremendous fun. It's hugely good networking. We're now much more close to the industry than in my day, in that all through the summer online there are sort of meet the industry sessions for ESoDoc members past and present, where you can meet the person organising Sunnyside, Sheffield, meet DOK.Incubator, meet Richard Bradley or Donata from Documentary Campus, and so on. And there are also training sessions online in between sessions. So if you do ESoDoc, then between May and October, it's really quite a heavy commitment. Well, I've probably said enough for that, so that'll do.
Richard?
Great. So as I'm actually here sort of under false pretenses, but I am allied to a Documentary Campus, but Donata von Purcell, who runs the extraordinary organisation, can't be here because she's very ill, and so she's in Germany. So sadly, you've got me. I am a tutor, or have been a tutor on Documentary Campus over several years. My day job, I'm managing director of Lion Television, which is a UK production company. But it's not difficult to speak up for Documentary Campus. Andrea, you talked about it as a jungle. I'm not sure whether Documentary Campus provides the GPS or a machete or a little light or something, but I think when you think about the world of documentary, it is bewildering. Pavel talked about the importance now co-production and the European dimension, joining up with others, is an essential part of it. And Documentary Campus is essentially this wonderful starter pack for documentaries, ideas of all sorts, and it can literally from feature docs to documentary series, increasingly looking at TV, online, all sorts. And for all people of all sorts of experience. So in very short, I've just run down what happens at Documentary Campus, but they take director and producer teams who have a project, a passion project they believe in. You have to supply a treatment, some sort of financing plan or package, a little mission statement as to why you think this is an important, so they can get a sense of the filmmakers behind the project, and then any letters of support you might have. You go into a pot, and unfortunately the deadline is also just passed because this is a year-long process that you're entering. But it comes up, open again from the end of October through to February. 15 projects are chosen from all over Europe. So it's 15 pairs of people typically. Almost always several from the UK. And what you're signing up to is 4 sessions across Europe, so in different cities, which is a nice thing about it. You have to pay to get yourself there and pay for your accommodation, but the sessions themselves are free of charge. And over those 4 sessions, you get an incredibly rigorous going through of your idea, looking at how you can develop the storytelling, how you can develop the pitch, how you can develop the taster or the teaser, thinking about who might fund this. And you go through those sessions that take place over 3 or 4 days. One of them happens in Sheffield, and then a couple happen in other cities, and the final one happens in Leipzig. They are rigorous. They're very intense 4 days. I come out of it, my brain fried, but I always come out absolutely invigorated, because you're thinking about it's the best part in a way. It's what the idea can be, and it's how you make that idea better. And you're in the company of 16 other or 15 other pairs of filmmakers from around Europe, and that is also exhilarating, to be in there, to be brainstorming your own ideas with them, inputting into their ideas, and making them as good as they can be. On those courses, you have about between six to eight tutors, some of them very experienced, award-winning documentary makers, some of them from broadcasters, some of them old has-beens like me. And the idea is that you work through those ideas, and what you're heading towards is this moment at Leipzig when you pitch to an array of 40 broadcasters or distributors who have been assembled by Documentary Campus, and they're buyers essentially, and they have money to spend. So they come, and at Leipzig, and you have preparation for pitching. You're not thrown into it. You've given some thoughts about how best to pitch your idea and how to talk about it. And then at Leipzig, you pitch the idea, and that is your chance to sort of essentially emerge, if you haven't already emerged, and some people are already quite experienced when they've done this, but some are absolute newbies. You emerge on the sort of European scene because they're broadcasters from all over. Prior to that point, I should say that you have mentors, storytelling mentors in the first half, who in the first half of the year, who tend to be documentary directors themselves, who've been around the block a few times and will be inputting into your idea and will give you some sort of mentorship. And then halfway through the year, you get a tutor, and that tutor, it's sort of one-on-one, and that tutor will be a commissioning editor from a European broadcaster. So it's an amazing opportunity just to spend time with a commissioning editor from a European broadcaster, talk about your idea, hopefully sell your idea to them, but also just develop it with them and get some insight into what commissioning editors are looking for. So that's the structure of it. After the event, you're not left high and dry. There's then follow-up with the projects to see how, and they give you feedback from how the pitches went. Sometimes you'll get feedback directly, and people will come and say, yes, come on, let's get this project off the ground, let's put some money into it. But you'll get the feedback, you'll have another conversation about the financing and where you've got to in your sort of financing plans, and then that sort of prepares and leads into IDFA if you want to go to IDFA. So it is a commitment. It's a commitment of sort of, I suppose, 4 weeks over the year. But it is a really exciting group to be a part of. I wish I was, if I was starting again, I would be back into it, because I think the European dimension is really important, increasingly important. We've talked about you don't get funding from one source anymore. Those days are sadly gone unless you find some incredibly wealthy benefactor. You have to piece it together. But how much better to be in an environment with other like-minded people with projects they feel passionate about, and you benefit from that collaboration. The projects come through. Sometimes it's the project that comes through. Sometimes it's a project that isn't that project you developed on Documentary Campus, but one that you've allied, but the network you've created or the people you've been speaking to have allowed you into the world, and so you can pull the other one out of the back pocket. But they have had some real successes, like How to Change the World, the Greenpeace documentary, Jerry Rothwell, that started on Documentary Campus. There's one, Notes on Blindness, which I haven't seen yet, but apparently is coming to Sheffield, and it has VR in a very exciting documentary coming through. So real successes, but I'm also really thrilled because I have now employed as a sort of lion several people that have come through that training scheme. I've met them, I've workshopped with them. I know how passionate they are and how great filmmakers they are. So and they've now come and work for me too. So it's a chance, that sort of networking, which is invaluable, but also a chance to really hone your ideas. So. If you get the chance and you've got the right sort of project, and you've got, you're a producer or a director who fancies spending 4 weeks on it, I would definitely urge you to apply.
Thank you very much. We don't have much time left, unfortunately. There is so much to say. All your programs are basically helping filmmakers and producers to develop and present their project on the international scene, and also find funding. Very briefly, could you each give me 1 or 2 tips for producers and filmmakers out there, to put in a strong application? What exactly are you looking for? Maybe a quality, maybe a tiny detail, but something that will help them with their application, but also something that could help them with pitching their idea or their project.
If I could just mention, we all cooperate together, and we are a little bit different. Just if I could clear the difference between us. So ESoDoc and Documentary Campus are trainings for early stage development, and Documentary Campus is very much focused on TV and has a great access on the TV. So it's more formatted and TV documentaries. ESoDoc, I would say it's more free, and it's more about the social impact. Also, there is a lot of crowdfunding. There is also a lot of impact campaigning. So you think about your film from more different perspectives, and you are more deciding which way you will take with your projects. And we are post-production, so we are much later stage, and we are films. So this is why we don't have so many projects from documentary campus, but we quite a lot cooperate with ESoDoc because some of their projects will develop in films. So to us come when you plan to make a feature-length documentary, but you will of course have different kind of versions of it. So maybe you have also 52, maybe you also do a small series for TV or internet. You can discuss these things also with us. So to us come when you do feature-length long documentary with very broad way of distribution. So this is the difference. And regarding application, for us you need selection, good selection of scenes and treatment, but treatment based on the shot material. We get a lot of treatments which someone has written 2.5 years ago, and we are reading the treatment and watching the scenes, and we don't see there the characters and so on. So please never send us all treatments. Send us something what is based. And what is very important for us, but not maybe for us, it's also important for TV. When you are sending us selected scenes, try to make arch which shows the development in the film and main conflict in the film. We get a lot of materials which has not any structure, and then it's very difficult to consider those things, or which are missing a lot of important scenes you just write and so on. We need to see. When you apply DOK.Incubator, we don't watch so much what you have written, but we watch whole material. You can upload to our interface up to 1.5 hours. We cannot watch more. We cannot watch by selection. We cannot have 3 hours rough cuts. And please, also what is very important is a little bit to put in the treatment and material your point of view. We get a lot of films when we are not sure what is the film about, really, and if the people really had some kind of intention, very clear intention. So this helps a lot, the point of view. And you can even describe to us what you need to search in material, because it's a process. You don't have to have it finished. We just consider the potential, and we take a lot of risky projects where it could be great film, but it could be also disaster. And we had also a lot of cases when people, when we analyzed the material, they went back to the shootings because they realized they don't have enough to make a feature-length films. That was too little. So please try to clarify, but it's a process, and we really look for potential, so it doesn't have to be finished or perfect or whatever. No. And we have very experienced editor who will be considered that, and they see a lot in material.
You, a couple.
I'll be very brief. Ika Vekalati, a Finnish documentary maker, has actually written a whole book on this. A theme is not a story. A theme is not a story. Just remember that when it comes to putting in a proposal. Secondly, if you've got time and you live in London, you needn't necessarily be in London, you ought to go along to the pitches organised by the Good Pitch, which is part of BritDoc. Now, they encourage films which want to make the world a better place in a vague sort of way. And it's just to counteract what Paul said, it's amazing the sort of coalition of the willing, the people who will come along to put money or put help of some kind into a really good documentary on a social theme. If you go along, there are public occasions, and now the Good Pitch idea is syndicated, and they take place all over Europe. One of my favourite films, just to give you an example, the producer, Hugh Harford of Banyak Films, rang me up and said, Hugh, he'd been on ESoDoc, I want to make a film about the World Table Tennis Championships for the over 80s. And I thought, bloody hell, who would want to watch these doddery old guys on Zimmer frames playing table tennis? But far from it, it's a fantastic programme. He got money from, he helped the aged, decided to put table tennis tables in old folks' homes. And there's still a table tennis league now, based on ping pong, it was called. The lottery money put money in. He got, it all came slowly. You've got to be patient. But when it was obvious it was going to work, then everybody piled in and wanted to help. And then it was given a theatrical release in America, shown on Channel 4, and he proved me completely wrong. But what got that going was he pitched it at the Good Pitch, which was a very good spectacle to watch if you want to find out how, in fact, there are lots of ways of getting resources into good documentaries.
Yeah, I would very sure. I would absolutely echo what Hugh said at the beginning. A theme is not a story. I'd say an important subject isn't a story either. You know, that lots of ideas come with, this is a really important subject. That is not a story. You have to think about what is the film. And the principle I tend to use is, how do you describe, when you're talking to friends or family, how do you describe the film or the idea you've got? What is it you hone in on? What is the bit? Because when you tell people what you're doing, you select what it is, because you can pick up on what people find interesting in your story. So it's looking for the bit of your story and how you hook people with the story. So I'd always start with just the obvious in a way. But obviously it's the same thing. It's what are we going to see? It's think about, obviously it's documentary, it may not have happened yet, so you may not know what you're going to see, but what might we see? What are the sequences going to be? A good character is a great starting point, but what is that character going to do? What journey is that character going to go on? Or what is maybe a great precinct, what is going to happen in that? And then I just add two more things. Intimacy is always good. If you've got an intimate, clearly can demonstrate you've got a close relationship with subject matter. And surprise. There is, what can you do to surprise the person who's going to be selecting your project? Good luck.
So food for thought.